Hey everybody, what's up? We're here with a timeless reading. Welcome. The first card that we have is Nine of Pentacles. I am also seeing King of Wands and High Priestess. King of Wands and High Priestess is an interesting energy to see coming out. So the theme of these energies, Nine of Pentacles, King of Wands, and then also High Priestess, this is about trusting yourself, trusting your instinct, trusting your intuition, sort of being able to feel around about what's going on and then what you should do, how you should do things. Having Nine of Pentacles, it feels like there's something here that you're stepping into. Yeah, there's something here that you're stepping into. It feels like this is your decision, though. It feels like this is your choice, though. This isn't something that you're being pushed into by any means unless it's you pushing yourself. So there is a choice here. Having King of Wands feels like it reinforces this, like this is my choice. This is the way that I'm doing things. I want this for myself. And then to have High Priestess, there can be an intuitive element to this. There can be a spiritual element to this. A notion that I was getting coming through before starting the reading was about past and future and how it looks from where you're standing right now, and looking back on the past with a sense of awareness, sense of loving awareness, and also looking into the future knowing that you're safe wherever it is that you're going to be traveling, whatever it is that you're experiencing. And that can be something that you're embracing presently, because the High Priestess is this, I'm embracing more than just what I can see. I'm embracing what I can feel and what's beyond just the physical senses, even though High Priestess can also have to do with the physical senses, but it goes beyond that. It extends beyond that. It extends into the spiritual, into the astral, into the metaphysical. Some of you, you're having an awakening. I'm seeing the Tower and I'm seeing the High Priestess. This can be kind of abrupt for some of you. You may not have been expecting this, but here you are. Okay, Nine of Pentacles connected with the Tower. What this is looking like to me from an intuitive standpoint, Nine of Pentacles is feeling like I'm stepping somewhere and it feels like my choice that I'm doing this. Again, Nine of Pentacles is not feeling like someone else is pushing you into this. This feels like this is my choice. I'm doing this. No one else is pushing me into this unless it is myself pushing me into this. But there's no like outer influence here. Like I'm making this decision. The Tower feels like you can have some stuff that's going on around you that can feel a bit... If you go into this with a sense of trust in yourself, in your team, of the universe, I don't think that this is going to feel chaotic. However, if this is something that you're still stepping towards or like opening yourself up to and embracing, you can be looking around and feel like a lot of chaotic stuff is going around. And I think that there can be a tendency to feel like this is unsettling. But if you can tap into that part of yourself that knows like this is how things are supposed to be, everything's going to be all right, stuff is happening the way that it's supposed to be happening, I am safe, things of that notion, you are going to feel like no matter what type of stuff is going on around you, things are going to be all right. And there's nothing here that's going on that you're not going to be able to figure out. There's nothing going on that shouldn't be going on within the environment. And I do feel too with this Nine of Pentacles and the Tower, it feels like you're stepping out of something and into The Nine of Pentacles in this deck always reminds me of sort of stepping out of some type of system, cycles and cycles and cycles that you were within, and this is you with more of a sense of authority stepping out of that, and it feels like welcome to the rest of the world and what's going on, but it feels more than just the world within 3D. This feels like in a more expansive, like universal sense. And it feels like stepping out and you're seeing this stuff that's going on all around you. But if you know the essence of the Tower, you know that the Tower is not just about like mass chaos and destruction. The Tower is actually about rebalancing what is out of balance already. So if you take this at face value, you can look at the Tower and be like, why is everything crumbling? Why is all of this stuff happening? However, when you get to the basis of what this card really speaks about, it's about things being put back in right order. Even though on the surface, before we're understanding the patterns and the deeper meanings, it can feel chaotic, and that's where sort of that fear can come in and say, this shouldn't be happening, like whatever else the narrative is. It feels like having the moon here is an elevated perspective about what's going on, what your part is within this, and also how sort of like the universe is reacting to what's happening. Now, having King of Wands and having Four of Pentacles, you can be trying to keep it together and sort of just do your basic stuff that needs to be done. You may not be exerting a whole lot of energy, and this can just be keeping things as routine and stable as possible and sort of keeping things level, keeping things steady. This also feels like something that is going to be untouched based off of what's going on. Having the Tower and then having Four of Pentacles can be giving you insight into something that you're involved in that you feel like this is unmoving or this is unwavering or this is not going anywhere. And I want something greater. I want something more. This isn't moving. I'm feeling things moving. You can even feel like something, if it is moving, it's just like very cyclical, and you may not want to be part of that anymore. And you can feel like if we look at Mars and the Moon are the two major arcanas that we have here with the Tower and the High Priestess. Mars is like you're being called to action in some way, and it feels like it's because something like spiritually, intuitively is going on, something that you're feeling, something is happening here. And then Mars is like, what are we going to do about it? And Nine of Pentacles feels like you're in a position where you actually can do something about this now. And it feels like you're safe to do this now. Also having Four of Pentacles here, like you have what you need in order to act on this, and so now this can happen. Having Tower and having King of Wands feels like, okay, it's on me. This is only going to happen if I do this. And Eight of Pentacles, not Eight of Pentacles, Eight of Cups feels like there's somewhere where you're going, or there's something that you're feeling called towards, or even there's something that you feel like there's not a magnetism, there isn't that sense of connection for me to be here. I'm hearing the word withdraw. So maybe you're going to withdraw from something. It feels like something that's stagnant or something that's not moving. And you can feel like it's too rigid for you now, because you've stepped out of that, you've stepped beyond that. The way that the Nine of Pentacles is feeling to me is like how we can be on autopilot, and then when we sort of snap in and there's this awakening that's happening. Nine of Pentacles feels like that moment where you're actually seeing what's going on around you, and it's no longer that sense of disconnection. It feels like you're fully present, fully there in that moment. And I do get the sense of realizing something, but in that moment that you realize this, like what your soul is speaking to you about where you're meant to be, where you're not meant to be, what's working for you, what's not, what you feel connected with, what is like really not doing it for you, what feels right to you, what doesn't feel right to you. In that moment, there's a realization that if life is going to change, or if something's going to be done, you're going to have to be the one to do it. that's the, like, I see an independent streak here that feels like it's being activated now at this point. And I think that something feels like the bar was set really low and that you don't want that anymore, or you feel like I could have something better than that. And when I say have, I don't just mean possessions. I mean you could feel a stronger connection to what it is that you're involved within, and you can be moving towards something that feels more aligned. It feels more worth your time and worth your energy to be participating in. And if this is something that you decide you want to do, if you feel like the calling is strong enough and you want to answer it, this can be a time where you make a move. And it can be sort of, it can feel out of nowhere with Mars and Moon, because Mars is about taking action quickly. This is abrupt. I'm just feeling it right now. And Mars does do things very quickly. It's like right to the point, very direct. And when the moon is involved, there can be a volatility emotionally, but you can also feel like now is the time to act on this. I'm feeling this and I want to do something right now. And so this feels like Mars and the moon are actually working well together here, even though these energies can be very challenging to work with, because Mars can be very difficult to contain and very difficult to channel and control. Not difficult to channel in general, but channel the way that you want to channel it and for it to do what you want it to do, especially when the moon is involved, because it can feel like a very sensitive game that you're playing here, one where there's a vulnerability that's here. But Mars is the part of you that's going to be able to push through and can even push a part of you that's having a hard time letting go forward. Because the moon can be that part of you that's like, we gotta stay behind, what about this, what about that? And Mars is like, this is not your destiny, this is not where you're supposed to be anymore, like, move on, let's push forward. And so, like I said before about nobody else is pushing you, but it does feel like you're making a choice to step into something, and I do get the sense of like your own energy pushing you forward, and this is where you're supposed to be going. And you can even feel like in a universal sense that this is sort of what's happening, that there's a move that needs to be made, and you can even feel like I need to do this now, or I'm realizing what has to happen. And if you are feeling that, know that this is being confirmed with the High Priestess here. This isn't coming out of nowhere. You're not misinterpreting the signs. It's nothing like that. You're meant to be moving forward, and you are picking up on this correctly. This feeling. This can break you out of some type of rigidity, some type of habit, pattern, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it can be something that is holding you back now at this point, and you have to break out of it. So it can feel like you're going to be stepping into something that's a bit different. It can feel a bit uncomfortable because of that. It can feel unstable because it's going to be a period of transition. It can feel like stuff was technically working before, maybe on a practical level, but on another level, on an emotional level, maybe not. On an energetic level, maybe not. And so this is going to allow for things to feel like they're moving into place in the way that they need to be. And again, the Tower is not it can be actually. The Tower can be an energy that we channel that becomes very chaotic within our lives, but it always has the same goal, and it's to bring things back into alignment. So when stuff is being built in a way that it's not supposed to be, Tower comes through and it's like, knock it over so we can do it the right way. And that's basically what's happening. And it does feel like something where your emotions are involved, and that's why it can feel sensitive, and that's why this can be difficult to do. And it's also why you're the only one that can do this. So some of you could possibly be like abruptly or unexpectedly withdrawing from something here. It would be something that this isn't really the place for me, or there would be an issue with it. It's not just like something that you're happy with, that you're like, now I'm just going to walk away from it. That's not at all what this is describing. It's a situation that you already know. I'm not feeling connected with this, or it used to feel like that, but it doesn't feel like that for me anymore, and it hasn't been feeling like that that's what this will be speaking about. It's something that you may still be trying to, it's like trying to plug a device into a receptacle and there's not really any electricity within it, and the device needs more power than the threshold, than the voltage, and so it's not working. And so you're like trying to make it work, but it's not really working because you're not really connected in the right way. And the tower is like, stop doing that. We need to plug you in somewhere where it's going to be that voltage match for you, that vibrational match for you, where it'll feel like electric to you again in a way that this is no longer feeling like that to you. And that's why carrying forward is going to happen. And then you'll feel like when you get into where it is that you're going, you'll look around and feel like, oh, this is, now I'm remembering this is how things work, or this is how things fit when stuff properly goes together. So it'll feel like you're stepping into something that's more compatible with where you are. And it may not, like the situation that you're in, that may not be the thing that changed. Something within you may have changed, you know? There could have been a vibrational shift for you, and now something is not compatible with where you are anymore, so you have to go somewhere where things are going to be feeling more compatible for you, and that's what's happening. I do feel like you woke up to something. This is also reinforcing that you can trust yourself, to lead yourself, to guide yourself, that nothing is going to change if you're not the one to do it. You have to be the one that sort of takes this upon yourself to be the one moving this through. It can feel very difficult with the moon because the moon can be very attached to the past, to what you're familiar with. And Mars is your energy that feels like brave and wants to explore, and it's like, if this isn't working, it's not working. It can be very black and white like that. And your moon can be more, having a more difficult time with that. And that's why you have to learn how to work with these energies, find out what's motivating them, what they need. But I do feel your Mars pushing your moon forward. It's almost like your moon is here and it wants to like look back, and Mars is behind it, pushing it like, no, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go, pushing it forward. And this is gonna be, things are gonna be better for you. This is definitely for things to feel more aligned and for things to feel more compatible, even though the moon can be that part of you where if you get into a pure enough space with the moon, like if you get into a pure enough space with your higher self and with your intuition, you'll know that Mars is right and you are meant to move forward. However, if you're more in like an unhealed energy of the moon, you can be tapping into advice from your shadow that wants to hold on to stuff that's no longer compatible with where you are. And the moon is saying it's time to withdraw. And you may have already felt kind of withdrawn anyway. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I am sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.